big is that?
All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward.
All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports.
Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Good morning, everybody. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Jeff Iafrate, your host as always. Sam Flannel, my partner in crime, back from the 4th of July, which I'm going to get into everybody's 4th of July and what they did. We got JB in the booth, per usual. And then, as always, Gabby DePhillips in the chair. And then Alex Westfall is our TD. As usual, Lucas is he's still out this week. He's in Toledo, so who knows what he's doing in Toledo. I don't know what goes down there. Lucas could speak on that. Yeah, Lucas could speak on that more than me, but he will be back next week. But we're back. 4th of July yesterday. Everybody had the day off. We ran best ofs. If you guys didn't, you can go check that out. But Sam, I'll start with you. How was your 4th of July?
You know, it was pretty good. I went to the in-laws' house. They have a deck. They have a dog. Me and the wife brought over our dog. They got to play a little bit. And me and my wife discovered that one of the most fun things that you can do as a couple is just play backyard games together. We brought the badminton kit.
Okay.
And it's not like we were competing against each other. I don't know what psychopath couples just love to compete against each other. It's about the betterment of one another. Try to keep the ball, or whatever they call it, the shuttlecock or whatever, just like back and forth and back and forth. So that was, that was a fun time. Fun time was had for all. Although, I'll tell you what, man, my body and my physiology, it does not respond very well to being in the sun for too long.
Yeah, well, I would like to say I'm the opposite, but even me, like, I'm Italian, but it takes a lot for me to burn, but when I burn, it just hurts, but it takes a while. Like, I got some sun, but I usually just go outside with no sunscreen or anything and just say, what it do? And if it happens, it happens. But I do hate fireworks. I have to admit that. I don't mind watching fireworks, but being up close to fireworks, one of my family friends, close family friend of mine, blew like 3 of his fingers off from like an M80 or something like that. So ever since then, I'm very skeptical, but I love watching fireworks.
Well, I'm glad you're telling me that today because I did light some fireworks off last night.
So I didn't go near any big fireworks, but I did watch fireworks.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see. But what'd you guys do? What'd you do, Gabby?
Lake Orion, if anyone is familiar, is the 4th of July town, I believe, in Michigan, if not America. Everyone is very patriotic there when it comes around to 4th of July. So we've been having celebrations since last Friday, as you're probably hearing in my voice now. So Friday they do flare night, and then Saturday they did their fireworks. Sunday it rained, and then Monday we came in here, and then I left here on Monday and went out on the boat, met my friends. I had 2 of my best friends in from college to experience the 4th of July here in the Midwest.
So they're not from here. They just came here to experience.
No, they came here just for the weekend to experience it. Actually, one came back because she was here last year and loved it so much, booked her flight for this year 3 weeks after she left last year because she was so excited to come back. So
she loves Michigan.
She loves Michigan, 4th of July. Loves it.
Okay.
It's a good time over in Lake Orion. So we did that and then spent the entire day out on the boat yesterday. And if you're familiar with Lake Orion, there's always like one major party area on the lake. And it's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people just standing in the same water, which can't be sanitary.
No.
Just hammered. So it was great. It was a good time, but I'm a little tired this morning.
And I know it's not just you. I know there's especially people tuning in, and again, assuming that a lot of other people went on the water. I feel like that was a big theme. I didn't get to go on the water, but I was definitely near the water. I watched fireworks. It was nice. I was with my friends and family. JB, what were you up to? What'd you do yesterday, my man?
I was gonna say, listening to everyone's 4th of July, mine just seems kind of lame because Gabby has the raspy voice over here, so she was having a good time. She was on one. You guys were on a boat. You guys went to your in-laws playing games. Me, I just hung out outside my house with my neighbor trying to clean up my yard. I sent to you guys the text message. Yeah, so basically spent the day cleaning up my yard, hanging out with my neighbor, and then planting some flowers with my girl. So that was pretty much my 4th.
Flowers, planting some flowers. That's still nice.
Yeah, it was nice. I kind of like my little garden area I got going. So,
what type of flowers?
I have no idea the names. She just picks them out and was like, "This one looks cute. This one looks cute." So, all right, we just go with that.
And did you guys, by the way, I know this is really random, but did anybody watch Joey Chestnut yesterday? Did everybody tune into that?
No, I mean, I always watch the replays of that. But at this point, it's just he's the most dominant athlete in his respective sport, probably of anyone ever at this point.
Well,
was it 16 out of the last 17? I think he's won. It's absurd.
What he had, I think it was like 62 hot dogs.
He ate 62 hot dogs yesterday. And so he didn't beat his personal best record of 76, but we can all blame that on the rain delay that they had.
And
he walked out of that rain delay like Game 6, Game 7 LeBron. Like, you see him walk out locked in.
That
and
man
by the way,
saved the 4th of July.
Alex, I sent the picture in the in our group chat. I wanted to throw it. Yeah, there you go. There's the video. Yeah, look at this man walk up to the stage like it's the Super Bowl. I love it. That's the GOAT, Joey Chestnut. Booter posted a bunch of videos online yesterday, telling everybody to slam the over on like 73 hot dogs.
Ooh.
And I'm like, that. And he says, you just said his personal best is 76.
76.
So he damn near he would need to hit almost his personal best to go over. And Booner was advocating to go over, and I trusted him, and he let me down. So I'm ashamed of you, Booner. But do you have the picture of the very special celebrity that was there? Alex, could you throw it up? See, Joey Chestnut took the show, but what about Glizzy Lizzy?
Oh boy,
why doesn't she get any love? Glizzy Lizzy, 5'8", 31 years old. Her Nathan's famous debut, and I don't really need to say much else. Sam, her name is Glizzy Lizzy.
Well, I mean, first of all, and this is me being kind of like the old man yells at clouds. When the hell did Glizzy become a sling for hot dogs? I think it's one of the stupidest things in the history of mankind. But around the Woodward sports office, it's just like Glizzies. And for a while, I didn't even know what we were talking about. Oh, hot dogs? I don't even know how that originated. If anybody in this room knows, if anyone in the chat knows, I would like to know. I mean, congratulations to Glizzy Lizzy. I don't know how she did in her respective one. JB, do you by any chance have any idea?
JB, yesterday was that wifey material?
She did not win.
She did not win. But
hey, I don't give a damn if she
won. I think her
boyfriend
boyfriend won in life, though. I will.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you got the name Glizzy Lizzy, like JB. Come on, there's more.
There has to be something behind how you got this nickname. So
39.5 hot dogs finished by Glizzy Lizzy.
JB's ears just perked up.
Champ.
He said, wait, 39 hot dogs?
Champ.
Now that's the hero we didn't know we need, was Glizzy Lizzy.
Exactly.
But we also got to catch the Tigers as well. The Tigers, I cannot believe this. I mean, they lost 1-0 to the Oakland A's, a team that I thoroughly laid out 2 days ago when we talked about the Tigers, on how it's coincidental that the Tigers are damn near in lockstep with the Oakland A's in most hitting stats, and the A's are the worst team in the league. And that's the worry I had with the division, because the pitching, the Tigers are right around 15 to 20 in totality, but hitting, they're damn near last, and they line up with the Oakland A's. And Sam, even though Tarek Skubal came back and he had a nice showing, it is what it is. You lost 1-0 to a team that, again, we talked about it. They had 14 runs, a couple games ago, and they dropped. They get shut out.
If anything,
they get shut out yesterday.
If anything could have possibly ruined my 4th of July, it was that horrific Tigers performance. And I understand that this whole pennant race thing might have always been a little bit of a fugazi, but at the same time, this could have been a day of great hope for the Detroit Tigers. Tarek Skubal, after missing all of that time with injury, came back and looked as good as he ever looked. Obviously, they limited his pitches. He only pitched 4 innings, but he didn't allow a single hit, and his stuff looked as nasty as ever. And not only that, once they took him out, Reese Olson came in and pitched 5 shutout innings himself, and I believe only allowed 1 hit. That should be more than enough for the Detroit Tigers to get the win on that one. But no, they decided this was the perfect day to get shut out by the Oakland freaking A's. It was terrible. And not only that, it's one of those disappointing shutouts because the Tigers were 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Could not buy a clutch hit to save their life, including 0 of 5 combined from Javi Baez and Spencer Torkelson. I remember in the bottom of the 8th with the bases loaded, Javier Baez struck out looking, and in the bottom of the 10th with down 1-0, Spencer Torkelson flied out to lose that game. And those two combined went 0 of 9. And if any of them could have just gotten one clutch hit, they would have probably won the game, and they'd be looking much, much better right now. And not only that, the Minnesota Twins are all of a sudden playing pretty good baseball.
Above 500.
They're above 500. They've won 4 out of their last 5. They've got another game tonight against the Kansas City Royals, because when they have a chance to feast on crap, they're actually doing that, unlike what the Tigers did last night, blowing that game to the Oakland A's. It's just, it doesn't look very good anymore. That's the type of game that the Tigers needed to have. I'm not saying it's necessarily over. I still said they need to go 4-2 on this homestand at the absolute worst. That is still in play, but you cannot drop a game like that. It could have been such a symbolic victory. Tarek Skubal, he could have been a hero, and he still pitched great, but it didn't mean anything because he didn't get any run support. Literally 0.0 run support.
I was going to say, if you needed Skubal to be Batman, you at least needed a Robin, either from Torkelson or Javi Baez. And Torkelson yesterday at 224 average, and you had Baez, who to no one's surprise, 220 on the day. And I love these comments too. I want to get to the people. Answer 14 says, Javi and Torque just flat out sucked. Shane D says, no score through 7. I figured the Tigers lose. That's fair. Let's see here. Just going through all these, and again, appreciate you guys for tuning in and joining. If you're just joining and you haven't dropped a like the stream, don't forget. And let's see, Dan Wood says, first time in 110 years, 12K, 0 ER, and a loss.
Jesus Christ.
And answer 14 says, winning is important, but not everything. And Hoofhearted says, there are no losers in competitive eating, just second, third, and eventually last winners. It's like first corn. And by the way, just to speak on that, I feel like if you come in second place to Joey Chestnut and you still eat 50-something hot dogs and you feel like complete ass and you just don't get first place, that's got to be the worst feeling in the world. You just wasted, I don't want to say wasted, but you just ruined your stomach to come in second, regardless.
And again, that might be another old man thing, but even though I'm only 31, I'm not that old, but when it comes to all those people eating all that hot dogs, at least Joey Chestnut gets all the glory, but everybody else, just imagine how bad your body is going to feel the next day. I mean, I could eat 5 hot dogs the night before coming in to do the morning show, and I would feel like absolute crap. Well, these people are eating 40, 50, 60. It's ridiculous. It's insane.
Awful.
That's where Glizzy Lizzy comes to shine. Like you need people that show up on the big stage, and that's Glizzy Lizzy. Mike K says, Paul Thomas says, the winner is the one who doesn't get heart disease. Well, that's fair.
That is true.
Yeah, that is fair.
I will give him that.
Chuck says, it's all on Chris till he commits to the Tigers being a winning team. This is what we are. Yeah, that's very fair. And again, guys, just to talk about, we're just kind of preview what we're going to talk about throughout the entire show. I want to get into a Lions question next segment about Jacksonville or Detroit, who wins more games and why. And later, there's some things I want to cover, as in Jahmyr Gibbs, Offensive Rookie of the Year odds, and the likelihood he can do that. All-Pro, foreshadowing which Lions players most likely to make the All-Pro or make an All-Pro. Jerry Jacobs had some interesting comments on the Chiefs matchup and Jared Goff. You're going to want to stick around and hear that, and we'll get our reaction to him. Cade Cunningham had pretty nice odds for most improved player next season. We'll talk about the likelihood he can do that. And then obviously we got what's trending at the end of the show with Gabby. So packed show for today. I'll tell you what, we'll go to break. When we get back, I want to get into the Jacksonville and Detroit conversation and which organization will win more games in 2023. But before we do that, Sam, could you tell us about our friends over at Swiss Insurance?
Absolutely. And now that summer's here, it is important to make sure you are properly covered, whether it's a grad party or just a group of people over to enjoy the lake or pool. Your liability exposure increases significantly in summertime. Let the Swiss Insurance Group review your coverage and make sure you are protected from an unexpected loss. Check out SwissINS.com or call Mark today at 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177. Swiss Insurance.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
You have an opinion?
Make sure it's seen and heard.
Corner, jumper.
Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Gabby, and Alex, as usual. And guys, Jacksonville, Detroit, both on similar rises. At least Jacksonville has their quarterback, their franchise quarterback. Call Jared Goff whatever you like. At least they both have quarterbacks. But the first step for a lot of franchises, when you especially Jacksonville, when you get the number 1 overall pick, you get your quarterback. They got him. They added Calvin Ridley this offseason. They got their head coach finally in Doug Peterson, which I like a lot. They win their division last season with 9 wins. Both have bright futures. At least Jacksonville won a playoff game. It was a weird start to the playoff game. I mean, Trevor Lawrence had 4 interceptions. They still found a way to win. But the Lions, on the other hand, did not make the playoffs. But they did beat the Jacksonville Jaguars pretty decisively last season. And Marvin Jones talked about it and kind of briefly talked about it. That loss to the Lions changed the trajectory of what the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to do. That smack in the face altered the rest of the season for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And for the Lions, it was a similar way earlier in the season. So both teams look to be on the right path. But the question I have, and FanDuel Sportsbook tweeted this out yesterday, probably about 2 weeks ago, but we didn't get to talk about it because I want to bring it up. And now I thought it was an interesting conversation. Who wins more games this season, Detroit or the Jacksonville Jaguars? Sam, I'll start with you.
Ooh, see, this is tough because I think they're obviously both teams on the rise. I think that they're both going to win their respective divisions, but I am going to make some people angry and actually go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And let me explain, because I think when I break it down, it's going to make sense. We obviously know that the Detroit Lions, they play in a pretty weak division in which they're heavily favored. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars may play in the single worst division in all of football. And think about it. And it's not just the division, the quarterback advantage that you have. Think about it. Houston and Indianapolis are probably going to start rookies. And Indianapolis might end up starting Anthony freaking Richardson, who wasn't even good in college on day 1. And then the Tennessee Titans, maybe Ryan Tannehill. They drafted Will Levis. They drafted Malik Willis last year. They have a decided advantage at quarterback, and I think it's not even close. But when you look at the Lions and the Jaguars, you also have to look at who they are playing. The Lions, they have a very, very favorable home schedule. I think they could go as high as 8-0. I would say more likely to go 7-1 and 6-2. But the Lions have a gauntlet on the road. At New Orleans, opening the season at Kansas City, at Baltimore, at Los Angeles to play the Chargers, and at Dallas. Those are some really, really tough games. The Jaguars, on the other hand, they play most of their tough games at home. They have a very tough home schedule. They've got home versus the Chiefs, so the Lions have to go to Arrowhead, and the Jaguars get to play the Chiefs at home. I think that's advantage Jaguars. They play home versus San Francisco and home versus Cincinnati. Obviously, those are very, very tough games, but at the same time, the Jaguars get to have them at home. And they play Buffalo, not in Buffalo. That's technically a road game, but they get to play that game in London. They get to avoid going to Buffalo, which has become one of the toughest places to play in all of the NFL. So I would say that the schedule lines up more favorably for the Jaguars, and that also factors into the fact that they're going to have 6 games in division. I think they're going to go 5-1 or 6-0 in those games. And also, when you look at the rosters of the Lions and Jaguars, I would say, Jeff, that the Jaguars have an advantage at quarterback. I don't think anybody would I think some people might disagree with it. But
no, I wouldn't disagree with that.
Absolutely. And at running back, I would argue that maybe the Lions' running back room is better, but Travis Etienne is the best running back on both of those teams. He had over 1,100 yards last year on 5.1 yards per carry. He has turned into a superstar, or an up-and-coming superstar.
They have a nice wide receiver core as well.
They have a really nice wide receiver core with Calvin Ridley coming back. Christian Kirk, who was signed by the Jaguars, everybody laughed at that contract, but he rewarded them with over 1,000 yards. I think Zay Jones, if he's your third receiver, that means you have a damn good wide receiver core. And even tight end Evan Ingram. He was a guy that was a bit of a cast-off in New York, had some nice seasons, but had kind of fizzled out. He had his career season in Jacksonville last year. Obviously, the Lions have a better offensive line. I would say that the Lions have a better D-line edge rusher combo with guys like Aiden Hutchinson, James Houston, Aleem McNeil, the Okwara brothers, Charles Harris, John Kaminsky, all of that. And the Jaguars, I would say it's at least on the interior defensive line, they are weak. Although Josh Allen's a good edge rusher, and when it comes to last season's rookies, I would take Aiden Hutchinson over Trayvon Walker any day of the week. Where the Jaguars, I'd say, also have the advantage is their backing core. How do you pronounce his name? Fayasato Alukin.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Good luck with that one. But you know what? No matter what his name is, I think I got it about as right as I could. He led the NFL in tackles with 184. We talk about how Alex Anzalone had himself a breakout season. He had 125. Alukin had 184 along with 12 for loss. And then Devin Lloyd versus Malcolm Rodriguez. I would say that Devin Lloyd is the better linebacker moving forward, even though Malcolm Rodriguez had a damn good rookie year as well. And then you look at the secondary, I would also give the advantage to the Detroit Lions because the Jaguars, they have Tyson Campbell. I think he's a very, very good corner. I think he's the best overall corner of the bunch, but when you factor in the secondary room for the Lions, it's just so deep. They've got a couple of very, very capable starters, a couple of very, very capable safeties who are absolute ball hawks, and then they obviously have the depth with guys like Brian Branch and Tracy Walker coming back. So I would say their rosters are similar-ish. The most important position, quarterback, I would say the Jaguars have the decided advantage, even though Jared Goff is very, very capable. And I just think their schedule lines up a little bit more favorably, and they play in an even weaker division than the Lions. So they're both going to be good. They're both going to win their division, but give me the Jaguars winning 12 and the Lions winning 11. And it's no hate against the Lions whatsoever.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be close. And the big argument there is one team's in the NFC, one team's in the AFC, but both divisions aren't very good. Like Jacksonville, the teams they play, I mean, you're going to play twice a year. The Colts, the Texans, and the Titans, which, comparably to the NFC North, pretty comparable. I mean, we don't know what Jordan Love is with the Packers. We know they have a decent roster, but still Chicago, Minnesota, you can make the argument, and I think you'd win that argument, the NFC North is slightly better than the AFC South. I think that's fair to say. Because at least the AFC South has two rookie quarterbacks in it this year.
Yes.
Anthony Richardson, who I'm not high on. I think there's a lot of work for him to do, but regardless, I don't think Shane Steichen walks in there day one and Anthony Richardson is who we think he is. It's going to take some time. So I think this year there's more data on Justin Fields. There's more data, less data on Jordan Love, but more than C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson. There's at least a game or two more. So there's a little bit more proven guys in the NFC North, and still, if you compare the Titans to the Vikings, Kirk Cousins is better than Ryan Tannehill. So it's close, but I do think, although they're in the AFC, I'm going to go with the Jags too, but for what?
Why are you such a hater?
Yeah, apparently I'm a hater, but I think it's close to what you're saying. I could see them both really winning the same amount of games as well. I could see them both winning 11 games. If anything, the Lions have an advantage being in the NFC, but if you look at their schedule, the Lions' schedule to start the season is what scares me the most. I mean, you look in the first 5 games, they have on the road to Kansas City. They come back home and face Seattle. That's 2 teams right there off the bat. You could easily be 0-2. I think that's not ideal, but they could. Comparably to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who faced the Colts on the road. Anthony Richardson's first start in the NFL. Pretty favorable. And then week 2, they got Kansas City, but week 3, they have Houston. Week 4, they have Atlanta. So,
sounds like 3-1 to me.
Exactly. And then you have the Lions, which I think could be easily 2-2 because they have Kansas City, Seattle, Atlanta, Green Bay. So, okay, I think they could take Green Bay, but even then, that's not an easy give-me game like Atlanta is with Desmond Ridder. So, I think it's close. I would lean the Jacksonville Jaguars because of how much I love Trevor Lawrence, number one, but you went through it. The wide receiver core, Jameson, we haven't really seen it all, but Calvin Ridley, I know what he is. I know he missed last season, but he's easily a 13, 14, 100 receiving yard a year guy. And then you have Christian Kirk, who really broke out last season. So, although I love Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I will continue to make the argument he's top 10, that Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver core, not just just everything. They re-signed Evan Ingram. Say what you want about him, had a pretty good year under Trevor Lawrence. So I like what they have offensively. Defensively, though, although I like some players more than the Lions, I don't know. Jacksonville's defense last year wasn't as great as I thought they'd be, and I think the Lions this year have a chance to sneak up on a lot of people with their defense. So I think I'm really, if you're looking at it offensively, I will lean Jacksonville, but defensively, although Jacksonville has better personnel, I think the Lions easily have a chance. I mean, you have C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Kirby, that secondary is stacked as it is, and then you have a lot of guys up front, which we don't really know what we're getting out of them, but easily Aiden could have a breakout season. So I think it's close, but I would give the slight edge to the Jacksonville Jaguars, man, just because of again, Trevor, the division they're in. There's a lot of things that I think lean the Jaguars' way, but the Lions, I think, they also have an advantage. So It's close, but it's very close. I'm going to give it to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but who cares? Is it 12 to 11 wins? They're going to be right around the same ballpark. I believe that.
Jared Goff was going to go play in the Super Bowl this year.
Well, that's what, if you listen to strictly some Lions fans, they would say. And JB, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus here, but you got some money on it. Not saying you're predicting it. NFC Championship appearance, Super Bowl appearance. But to give the Lions credit, they're in a better or an easier conference.
Yes.
So if we're talking about playoff success, that's different. That's different. Because if we're saying who will go farther in the playoffs, I would say the Lions than the Jacksonville Jaguars, because at least the Lions don't have to go through gauntlets like Mahomes, Burrow, Allen. Like, at least the Lions, you just have to beat whoever you beat just to get to San Francisco or Philly.
Yes.
Is that fair?
That is 100% fair. The Jacksonville Jaguars are fortunate to play in the one terrible division in the AFC. You got the AFC North, the AFC East.
It really is the
West.
one terrible division.
It's probably the worst, I'd say the worst division in all of the NFL. So when it gets to the playoffs, the Jaguars are going to have some tough matches. They're going to have to play, presumably, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Kansas City, the likes of that, the Jets, who I think are going to do very well. The AFC is obviously much more loaded, but I think one of the biggest differences right now between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Detroit Lions, other than the fact that I think they have a much favorable schedule, is the fact that, especially with how their offense is lining up, with Doug Peterson, an offensive head coach who did wonders with Trevor Lawrence and even led the Philadelphia Eagles to a Super Bowl win, where Carson Wentz played the best ball of his career. Nick Foles stepped in later on in the season and led them on a great Super Bowl run. I think with Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson, having Travis Etienne, his old Clemson teammate, in the backfield, completely living up to expectations, and then his his trio of wide receivers and his Evan Ingram at tight end.
Right.
I think Trevor Lawrence moving forward is going to be in the running for second best quarterback in the NFL after Patrick Mahomes, with guys like Joe Burrow, who I think holds the title now, with Josh Allen and Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts and the likes of that. Trevor Lawrence could end up being a superstar this year. And if he does, if he builds on the season he had last year and that great comeback he had in the playoffs against the Chargers, digging him out of the hole that he pretty much 100% dug for them, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think they're going to win 12 games, no doubt about it. It's all lined up for them, especially on offense.
Well, with Trevor Lawrence too, that's the biggest X factor for all this, because with Jared Goff, I do think he can always get better, he can always improve, but not to the level of what Trevor can do, because he's so young. He can make an astronomical jump next season. Who knows? And he could be in the MVP conversation. I don't think Jared Goff can make that type of jump. We pretty much know what Jared is. I think he could have a great season, but overall, I think Trevor Lawrence's level of play, I mean, he's not done. He is not done. He's only been in the league for, 2 seasons? 1 year? 2 seasons? So the guy, that's the other X factor of this whole thing, too, is with Trevor, I don't know how good he can be. I think he could be much, much better. So there's that part of it, too. But again, regardless, in the poll here, 82% of Lions fans think they're going to win more games, of course. I'm not surprised there. And it's not even a diss on the Lions. They're both, and it's funny because you look back at that draft where Jacksonville picked 1, Lions picked 2. Look at where they came from now to now both being, I think, legitimate, not only just playoff contenders, but 2 teams that I think could make a run in the playoffs in each of their respective conferences. It just shows you how quickly in the NFL you could turn things around.
Absolutely.
Compared to other sports.
And I will always feel indebted to the Jacksonville Jaguars for taking Trayvon Walker and gifting the Detroit Lions Aiden Hutchinson, who looks, at least in his rookie year, to be the far better edge rusher and basically made my dream come true of my favorite Michigan player of all time getting to play for the Detroit Lions, and obviously certainly living up to the hype in his first year. So, and that's part of it too. When we talk about the Lions, I think being better in the trenches than the Jacksonville Jaguars, one of the big factors, honestly, on defense is the fact that Aiden Hutchinson is a much better player right now than Trayvon Walker.
Well, he is.
And then in the linebacking core, I mean, we talk about the rookie battle. I think Devin Lloyd is a better rookie than Malcolm Rodriguez. He was expected to be, obviously. Malcolm Rodriguez was a 6th-round pick, but at the same time, in the trenches where football is really won and lost, the Lions do have that advantage. So they might be a better team. It's all about situations. You have to work backwards. Look at who the Lions play versus who the Jaguars play. That's part of it.
Yeah, the Jags, I think, might be more intimidating, but the Lions, I think, have everything. Like you said, the offensive line, the defensive line, they're putting together a product and a team that no team is going to want to face come the postseason. We'll go to break when we get back. I want to get Sam's answer and everybody else's. Which Lions player, get the comments ready now, do you think can make an All-Pro this season? If you had to give me one guy that can make that jump or be in that conversation, who is it? But before we get into that convo, Sam, can you tell everybody where we can get a workout in if we so need?
Oh, absolutely. It's got to be Planet Fitness without a shadow of a doubt, because Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. We are here to help you build a lasting, active lifestyle. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes in the 30-minute circuit, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for only $10 a month. Yes, they are still $10 a month.
10?
Unbelievable. $10. That is, you're basically stealing money at that point.
That's a robbery.
Want all the perks? Black Card members enjoy use of amenities such as unlimited tanning, hydro massage chairs, and total body enhancement, along with access to over 2,400 locations worldwide and unlimited guest privileges. And if you want to get jacked like myself, although I'm still quite not where Jeff Iafrate's at, you go to Planet Fitness just like me, and you can join today in club or online. Visit planetfitness.com. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Essential!
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America.
Woodward Sports,
The first sports network born in Detroit
and made for Detroit.
Your childhood may be over, but playtime is certainly not. Outdoor Equipment Company is your source for outdoor power equipment sales, service, and parts, carrying top brands such as Bad Boy, LS Tractor Still, and much more. Servicing the Great Lakes region with locations in Metro Detroit and Greater Lansing. For more information, visit them at OutdoorEquipCo.com. Outdoor Equipco, your power equipment playground. Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. And last segment we got through and talked about it. Who will win more games, the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Detroit Lions? Now I want to shift the conversation to which Lions player do you think is most likely to be an All-Pro this season? And I think Detroit's a fun team to start with because last year they were one of the youngest rosters in the NFL. A lot of promising young talent. But Sam, if you had to pick one guy to put everything in your bank account on to make an All-Pro this season, who would it be?
None other than Aiden freaking Hutchinson, to the shock of absolutely no one. You know where I was going with that, but I'm not just being a homer. We all agree that Aiden Hutchinson had a damn good year last year. He was their best defensive player. He lived up to every bit of the hype, had 9.5 sacks, 15 quarterback hits, and 9 tackles for loss. And that is despite basically his first 6 or 7 games still trying to figure it out, still having some rookie growing pains. There was some concern for him at the beginning of the season, but in his second year, I think all of that is behind him. I think he's going to hit the ground running. I think he's going to have more help on the defensive line, like James Houston presumably playing a full season. I think Aleem McNeil is going to make an improvement as well and provide more interior pass rush. And I think it's going to open things up for Aiden Hutchinson to have a stat line this season. This is my personal prediction of 13.5 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, and 20 quarterback hits. And I think that is obviously a damn good year, and it is definitely going to get you into the Pro Bowl. But at the same time, that might not even do it. I'm not saying for sure that he's going to do it. I'm just saying he is the most likely. Because when it comes to the All-Pro, and I'm talking first or second team, you have to look at who's ahead of him. Obviously, the first team All-Pro last year was Nick Bosa and Micah Parsons. And then one of the members of the second team All-Pro was Myles Garrett. Jeff, I don't think there's any disagreement that those are, maybe them and TJ Watt, the best edge rushers in the NFL. And they all balled out last year. I think their spots are pretty much there as long as they keep playing in their prime. But then you look at the other second team All-Pro, and that was Hassan Reddick. And obviously Hassan Reddick had a great season last year. He was every bit worthy of the second team All-Pro. I would argue he was the single most important and best defender on that Philadelphia Eagles team that made the Super Bowl, partially on the backs of their defense, although their offense was really good too. But Hassan Reddick, here's the thing. Last season, you may look at it as a little bit of an outlier because in his first 3 seasons, he only had 7.5 sacks combined. In his next 2, he had 12 and 11.5 respectively. He goes to the Eagles, he has 16. But at the same time, when it comes to guys like Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson, I would say, they hit the ground running from day one, and you knew that they were going to be stars. Obviously, Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, and Myles Garrett have become stars. I would say that Aiden Hutchinson is on his way, and he takes that leap in this year. And then, of course, you look at TJ Watt. He's another one who is a competitor who, obviously, I have to respect as somebody who thinks Aiden Hutchinson could make second-team All-Pro. But TJ Watt's coming off of a season in which he was hurt. He only played 10 games. He had 5.5 sacks, which I'm gonna chalk that up to just an injury season, kind of one you can throw away, because the season before he had 22.5. And for those of you who don't know, obviously all you guys do, that is tied for the most sacks in a season all time. And then I'd say his other competition is Matthew Judon, who had 15.5 last year. In the previous season, he had 12.5, but he's another one. His first 5 seasons, he did not have double-digit sacks in any of them. With Aiden Hutchinson, I think he's going to enter that tier as just kind of like Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, and Myles Garrett did. Had great rookie seasons, and then just in their second season take a huge leap and become superstars in the NFL. I think Aiden Hutchinson becomes one of the best edge rushers in the NFL this upcoming year, and he is the most likely Detroit Lion to make All-Pro this season.
So I'm not going to say I hate it, because Aiden Hutchinson eventually I do think should be in that conversation. But there's only one right answer here, and it's Penei Sewell.
Oh.
It's Penei freaking Sewell, and I'll tell you why. Okay, you look at last season, and you look at the notable right tackles that made the All-Pro. Number 1, Lane Johnson, who damn good at right tackle, will be a Hall of Famer one day. And then you have Tristan Wirfs. Now, you look at Penei Sewell and where he's projected to go. And I'm not trying to pull the Neil rule here. Like that, we know that man will be a Hall of Famer one day.
Do we though?
I think he will, because
I do too. But the presumption I think is a little bit. Go ahead, Jeff.
To say that how Neil says it with his gold jacket being ready already, that it's funny. But regardless, I do think he has that talent to be a Hall of Fame tackle. Now let me tell you something. So Andrew Thomas made it at left tackle as well, and the two guys in obviously Trent Williams, undoubtedly the best left tackle in the league. I mean, there's not a conversation there. He made the All-Pro last season. Andrew Thomas also made the All-Pro last season. So Trent Williams, Andrew Thomas, Lane Johnson, Tristan Wirfs. Pretty good tackles. Would you agree with that?
I would.
So we look at the stats, and shout out to Alex for this, for getting me all these, just for context. You look at sacks allowed last season. In Lane Johnson, incredible. He allowed 0 sacks, which he's a freak. Trent Williams allowed 1 sack. Andrew Thomas, who was an All-Pro at right tackle, 4 sacks last season. Penei Sewell, 2 sacks. So you're actually preventing the quarterback from being sacked. I know it's not all just on one player, but that's part of it. It's accounted for. Penei Sewell was better. You look at first downs in their respective gaps, meaning Penei Sewell or whoever it is being responsible for a first down in their gap. Penei Sewell has 25, had 25 of those last year. And then again, you look at some of the other All-Pro tackles. Andrew Thomas at 21. Tristan Wirfs at 17. You have now Trent Williams. He, just to give you context, first downs in their gap, he had 24. So Penei Sewell had 25. And again, sacks allowed. Tristan Wirfs, by the way, 3 sacks allowed. Penei Sewell, 2 sacks allowed. So I'm not trying to, nitpick these, but to give you context, he's in this conversation with these other all-pro talent tackles. Now you look at TDs in their respective gaps. Penei Sewell had the most touchdowns last season out of anybody, touchdowns in their gap. Penei Sewell had 6. Just to give you some context, Andrew Thomas had 5. Trent Williams had 5. Lane Johnson had 4. So responsible. Penei Sewell moving dudes for Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. He led to that. But obviously Jamal Williams had, 18 touchdowns last season. So 17. That's a big part of it. But regardless, making an impact, Penei Sewell did it. We know he has the caliber to be all-pro. And the other part of this is, who led all tackles and receiving yards?
That's irrelevant. That is completely, and that's
9
the thing.
yards for a Penei Sewell there.
And Taylor Decker once caught a touchdown pass, and I get it. That is a play that is going to live in Lions folklore forever, and I understand that. But when it comes to actual offensive line play, it means 0.0 as our drop in our sound booth would say.
0.0.
I appreciate that JB. I set you up for that one. But here's the thing. I like a lot of the stats that you brought up, but here's the reason why I think Penei Sewell is going to be out of luck this season. Because when they do all pro, they actually divide it up by left tackle and right tackle.
Right.
I could see Penei Sewell having a better year than Andrew Thomas, but who he's really trying to beat out is Tristan Wirfs and Lane Johnson. And I'll give you this. When it comes to run blocking, Penei Sewell was actually graded out higher last season than Lane Johnson and Tristan Wirfs. And a lot of your stats that you brought to the table basically give credence to that with all those yards and touchdowns between first downs and touchdowns between their gaps. But when it comes to pass blocking, I would say the most important job of an offensive lineman is to keep the quarterback upright. When it comes to pass blocking, as you said, Lane Johnson played 551 pass block snaps, allowed 0 sacks. Not just 0 sacks, 0 hits.
Yeah.
How much do you think that helped Jalen Hurts have an MVP caliber season? And only 9 pressures allowed, which is absurd. And then you go to Tristan Wirfs, who did not grade out nearly as well as a run blocker as Penei Sewell, but as a pass blocker, he was absolutely elite. 626 pass block snaps, 2 sacks allowed, which is as many as Penei Sewell, but only 1 hit allowed. Penei Sewell allowed 6. And 5 pressures allowed. Penei Sewell allowed 28. And I get it. Penei Sewell played slightly more pass block snaps, 663 to 626. But when it comes to breaking the right tackle all-pro, you've got some dudes. You've got some also future Hall of Famers above them. Lane Johnson's one of the best right tackles ever. I think Tristan Wirfs is much more likely to be a gold jacket guy than even Penei Sewell because Tristan Wirfs has proven more thus far.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and I get what you're saying, but the whole argument for me and for Penei Sewell is the drop-off between the guys that are all-pro to whoever we selected. So I'm making the argument that, Tristan Wirfs, Andrew Thomas, at least those guys, Trent Williams and Lane Johnson are in another category. But the guys that made All-Pro, the drop-off from them to Penei Sewell, I don't think is as significant as Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett to Aiden. Is that fair?
But I wasn't arguing those 3. I was arguing Hassan Reddick and...
So I can argue Andrew Thomas.
But Andrew Thomas is a left tackle. That's the thing. They actually split it
or
up.
Or Tristan Wirfs.
But did you hear what I just said? Tristan Wirfs had much better pass blocking numbers than Penei Sewell. I get it. Penei Sewell is a better run blocker, but when it comes to the NFL, Tristan Wirfs had elite pass blocking numbers, and it's the most important thing is keeping your quarterback upright. I get it. Run blocking is important as well, but I don't know. I think people need to slow down a little bit when it comes to Penei Sewell. I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler. I think he's more likely than not to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. But at the same time, people are really, really drinking the Penei Sewell Kool-Aid to the point where it's almost absurd. People are trying to make him out to be Orlando Pace, Trent Williams already. Stop it. He's great. Appreciate him.
Yeah.
He's not that.
And I'll leave it at this. JB, Gabby, you guys can chime in. Mm-hmm. He's going with Aiden to be an All-Pro, or more likely. I'm going with Penei Sewell. JB, I'll start with you. Who do you think?
I probably have to lean towards Flannel Sam and Aiden on this one. Sorry, Jeff, but it just is what it is. My runner-up, though, was James Houston, though, to be honest with you. Just because I think
You're going James Houston over Penei Sewell.
yes.
JB,
No disrespect.
I gotta throw a flag on that
No
one.
disrespect to Penei Sewell.
Throw the flag.
No disrespect to Penei Sewell. But I'm just saying, James Houston, I believe his sack total will go up a lot more off of the help of Aiden Hutchinson. That's why I think he will be an All-Pro this year.
Wow.
What do you think, Gabby?
I'm going to lean more with Flannel on this one. Sorry, Jeff, but I'm not backing you on your second point, JB. But yes, I think most likely of the two listed, Aiden Hutchinson.
Well, listen, I'll be on this island, and I love Aiden. I really do. But I just, again, and you have to, it's always about if they're going to make All-Pro, who's not making All-Pro.
Sure.
I don't know, man. Aiden's going to have like 15 sacks to be in this conversation.
He might.
He might, or you're saying he will.
Well,
that's a ton of, and I get with Penei, it's the pass blocking stats, of course, but like Aiden's going to have like, almost like up there in the NFL in sacks, which I don't know if I could say that. Like I don't know if in his second year.
Here's the problem, and I'll like just put a bow on it. Not a happy bow, but in my opinion, I think it's more likely than not still, and this has no credence on the Lions season, that nobody on the Lions makes All-Pro this year. They're all super young. I think a bunch of them make All-Pros eventually.
Yeah, Kirby, I think all those guys are going to be eligible.
Maybe Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, guys like that. They make All-Pros eventually. I just don't know about this year. I would say more likely no, but most likely Aiden Hutchinson. And for the record, I had Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown as my close runners-up. Definitely not James Houston, though, JB. I got to throw a flag on that one.
And by the way, don't sleep when you're looking at All-Pro, and I know, people aren't going to like me saying this. People will, but some people might be like, what? Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not to be first-team All-Pro, but second. CeeDee Lamb made it. And yes. CeeDee Lamb had a great year, but you're telling me without Jamison Williams, no G.J. Chark, Amon-Ra easily could put up 1,400 yards this season. I think he's a sneaky one. But Aiden or Penei, I think those are the two most likely. And people are already chiming in. 62% say Penei Sewell, 38% say Aiden. I mean, it's 60-40 pretty much. So two guys that I think have bright futures in Detroit, just to say the least. Just to get some of these comments before we go to break here, because we are over the time. I love this conversation. I knew it would be a great one. Tim Hutchinson says Amon-Ra makes All-Pro. Let's see. Steve says you can make a case for Jonah Jackson actually being an All-Pro.
Christ. Joe Tooney, Joel Bitonio, no chance.
Yeah, well, I mean, Chris
Lidstrom, he's probably the best. He's probably the best guard. And Quentin Nelson, come on,
yeah,
stop it.
There is a lot of talent at guard, though. But again, Jonah, these guys are right on the tier, right under the tier of those guys. I think they can easily make that jump, but you never know. Philip C says, why have expectations dropped so low for Jack Campbell? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. Let's see here. Garrett says, I could see Aiden as a Pro Bowler, but he's got a lot of competition. I think Sewell is already closer to the top. Super Juggernaut says Sewell has that Hawaiian blood. He has that never-ending spirit. Yeah, well, that's fair. Yeah, and regardless, they're both great players, so I don't think it really matters. But Penei Sewell, to me, closer to being an All-Pro. We'll see. We'll have to revisit this conversation.
Can't wait.
Late in the season here. We're going to go to break. When we get back, I want to discuss Jahmyr Gibbs and his Offensive Rookie of the Year odds. And I want to show you guys who's around him, who's in front of him, who's behind him, and are you going to hammer that bet? Very simple. We're going to go to break. Before we do, Gabby, can you tell us about our friends over at Randy Wise?
Yeah, Randy Wise is where you can go to get into a celebrity-level vehicle. And right now, if you go to woodwardsports.com or check out our YouTube page, you can see, wow, long 4th of July. You can see the first episode of the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour featuring the one, the only Jim Harbaugh. Check it out now and go and visit our friends over at Randy Wise to get in a celebrity level vehicle with them.
Big Boy Strawberry Fest has officially arrived, and we're here to show you the very best flavors of the season. Satisfy your sweet tooth with our deep-fried vanilla Oreos, strawberry hot fudge cake, and a slice of our classic strawberry pie. But that's not all. Cool off on a refreshing summer splash salad, or savor the flavors of our chicken Caesar wrap and strawberry bacon chicken wrap. And for breakfast lovers, don't miss out on our strawberry hotcakes or our mouth-watering red velvet waffle. Strawberry Fest is something for everyone. Celebrate the sweet season with us at Big Boy.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit.
But we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Woodward Sports.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here at woodwardsports.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. Jeff, Flannel, myself, JB, Alex, we're all very happy that you're here. Either get yourself a coffee or maybe, you're going more with the hair of the dog and you're having a little mimosa this morning before heading into work. Be careful. Don't drink and drive. But if you are watching on the website, check out all of our articles, previous clips, merchandise. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you are listening via podcast, download this episode and leave a 5-star review and follow us on all social media at Woodward Sports.
And shout out to John, by the way, the doc, for writing this article. And Broder put the link in the chat there. It's Sports Illustrated. And he wrote a really good article just basically detailing Jahmyr Gibbs and his Offensive Rookie of the Year odds and giving some context here. And again, he writes also in here, obviously, Barry Sanders, last line to take home the award in 1989. Jahmyr Gibbs, first running back drafted in the first round since Barry Sanders. Again, I'm not saying he's Barry Sanders, but I'm just giving you the context here. If he were to win, he would be the first or the second lines player the first since Barry Sanders. Here are the odds. Currently, right now, and this is just across multiple sports books, Bijan Robinson is plus 300, which, any problem with that?
Absolutely not.
Any problem, JB?
Oh, no.
Gabby?
Nope.
Bijan Robinson. Okay, that we understand that. Bryce Young, plus 400. I love this. I know you like Bryce Young as well, so no problem.
No problem whatsoever.
C.J. Stroud is third, plus 460.
No
right
problem whatsoever. Although Lucas Klotz, wherever he is at, is somewhere just like cringing, opening up in his sleep and being like, something is not right. like Miss Clavel from Madeline. That's what he's doing right now. He's just having cold sweats as we even anybody speaking positively about CJ Stroud. I know he wishes he was here, but you know what? That's all right. CJ Stroud, I like those odds.
Yeah, okay, fair. And coming in at fourth, Jahmyr Gibbs. So you have Bijan at plus 300, Bryce at plus 400, CJ Stroud at plus 460, and then Jahmyr at plus 700. And right behind Jahmyr Gibbs, Anthony Richardson at plus 900. So those are the top 5 guys favorited to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And before I give my thoughts on it, Sam, is there any chance Jahmyr can jump the 3 in front of him to win Offensive Rookie of the Year? Because we do know it is a quarterback award most of the time. There are exceptions, like Garrett Wilson won Offensive Rookie of the Year last season, so wide receivers have won it. But it does typically favor either the quarterback or running back at times, especially.
I got to be honest, I don't like those odds for Jahmyr Gibbs. Here's the thing about Jahmyr Gibbs that I think is going to work against him. Jahmyr Gibbs, as much as I like his talent, as much as I like his versatility, he is not going to get the most carries even on his own team. I know we all love David Montgomery. I know a lot of people here think that he's the best Bears running back since Walter Payton and maybe overvalue him a little bit.
But gosh.
You know, I'm bringing that up again. But you know what? Be that as it may, David Montgomery is going to get more carries than Jahmyr Gibbs, presumably, I will say. I think the only pathway for Jahmyr Gibbs to even challenge for Offensive Rookie of the Year is I think he has to have one of those all-time great seasons receiving for a running back. I think he has to have 1,000 receiving yards. I really do, for him to get a chance.
Really?
For him to get a chance to win Rookie of the Year over Bijan Robinson, for example. And I'll make my case for Bijan Robinson later, but this is a Lions segment. I think that Jahmyr Gibbs will get, I don't know, somewhere in the 100s of carries, maybe rush for 600, 700 yards. And then when it comes to receiving, I think he'll get somewhere between 500 and 800 receiving yards on 50-some catches, maybe 50 to 65. I think for him, it's going to take an 1,000-yard receiving season because he's just not going to get the usage carrying the football. And for all the people out there who are curious, it has only been done 4 times in the history of the NFL. I just think that Bijan Robinson is going to completely wreck the league as a rookie, and it is going to be really, really tough for Jahmyr Gibbs sharing time carrying the ball with David Montgomery to crack Rookie of the Year. It doesn't mean that I don't think he's going to help the Lions win. It doesn't mean that I think he's not going to be a valuable piece moving forward. I just don't see superstar rookie in Jahmyr Gibbs. Maybe I'm a hater. I don't think so.
So let me give you context here. And I disagree. I think Jahmyr and his odds right now, I love. He's at plus 700. To me, that you got to throw money on it, and I'll tell you why. Alvin Kamara won Offensive Rookie of the Year. You know what he had statistically in his rookie season? 728 yards rushing, 800 yards receiving. So, and again, who was he behind? Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram.
Who in 2017 had over 200 carries. So he wasn't even the lead back. Because I agree with you. He's not even going to lead the team in carries. But I think with what he can do on the receiving side of things, no Jamison Williams the first 6 weeks, I do think there's a lot of upside with Jahmyr Gibbs, especially at plus 700. Like, those odds are amazing. Now, can he have the season that Alvin Kamara had? Because Alvin, at the same time, yards per attempt was 6.1. So he was a monster.
Oh, yeah.
So he would have to produce. But the point is, Alvin won it, 700 yards, 800 yards receiving. Can you see a similar stat line for Jahmyr Gibbs if everything goes well? I can see 600, 700 for each receiving and rushing as well. So if he does that, and again, even behind David Montgomery, who will lead this team in rushing attempts, I do think it's still very possible. I do. Because of Jahmyr Gibbs and the ability to use him in both, the run game and the passing game.
I mean, that stat line, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility. And if he got that stat line, I would be 100% thrilled for the record. If he was on an Alvin Kamara pace as a rookie, sign me up for that any day of the week. My thing with Jahmyr Gibbs, and this isn't even anti-Jahmyr Gibbs, I am just very, very, very pro Bijan Robinson. I think he steps into the NFL on day one and is one of the best running backs in the NFL. I think this year, and I know I got burned last year with DeAndre Swift, I think Bijan Robinson leads the NFC in rushing this year. Last season, Saquon Barkley did it at a little over 1,300 yards. I think Bijan Robinson gets somewhere in the 1,400, 1,500 range. And I also think that Bijan Robinson has over 2,000 all-purpose yards. I think Bijan Robinson is going to be an absolute superstar from day one. I mean, I really like the Atlanta Falcons offensive line led by the best guard in the game, Chris Lidstrom, and I think we're underrating the Arthur Smith system a little bit, because remember, when Derrick Henry was having his best years in Tennessee, the offensive coordinator for that team was Arthur Smith. And the way that they blocked, the blocking schemes that they used, I think even though Derrick Henry is a freakish talent, that really helped Derrick Henry. And you know who else is a freakish talent? Bijan Robinson. And you know who got 1,000 yards last year behind that offensive line in the Arthur Smith system? Tyler Algier. And to me, Bijan Robinson has 10 times the talent of Tyler Algier. So everything is set up for Bijan Robinson to have a monster season. I think that not only will he, and this is going to be, a lot of people are going to think this is crazy, but damn it, I'm just going to go for it. Not only will Bijan Robinson be the Rookie of the Year, Bijan Robinson will be the first team All-Pro running back in the NFL this season. He will have an immediate impact the same way that Zeke Elliott did, Adrian Peterson did, Todd Gurley did, and Saquon Barkley did their rookie seasons. And that is what I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going up against. I know you love Bijan.
I do. I really do like Bijan. But there's a couple things that I don't think he will have compared to Jahmyr. And to me, even though Bijan and his upside in the passing game, I do think is there, I don't think he'll be able to be utilized as much as Gibbs will because of the lack of marquee weapons the Lions have to start the season. Atlanta, say what you want, they have Pitts, Drake London. They have guys that they're going to want to get involved. Desmond Ridder isn't somebody they're going to have air it out all the time. So they're going to want to run the football. Maybe he's dumping the ball off to Bijan, but I think Jahmyr can be utilized in a lot of different ways in the passing game. And I think they're going to be able to get that out of him. The rushing thing, I agree with you. I can see Bijan, regardless, being up there in the NFC in rushing yards. But I don't think they're going to throw Tyler Algier to the side. I think he's still going to get carries. So they're both sharing a backfield. But to your point, I think Bijan does get more carries than Jahmyr. But I think Jahmyr gets more receiving yards than Bijan.
And that's fair. But I also think that Bijan Robinson could get 700 to 800 more rushing yards than Jahmyr Gibbs.
Really?
Think about it. I have Bijan Robinson having between 1,400 and 500, and I personally have Jahmyr Gibbs when it comes to rushing yards having anywhere between 600 and 800. So by those numbers,
Alvin Kamara had 700 rushing, 800 receiving. He won Offensive Rookie of the Year. So those are still numbers that aren't far off.
But we also have to look back at who his competition was. To me, it's more about who Jahmyr Gibbs' competition is. And I also think that we shouldn't sleep on guys like Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. If either of them go out, throw 20 touchdown passes, and lead their respective offenses to huge improvements, and especially in the case of the Houston Texans, if CJ Stroud has a great season, or not a great season, but a good rookie year, and the Houston Texans jump their win total to about 7 or 8 games, I think CJ Stroud is going to get some competition. I'm not saying that Jahmyr Gibbs isn't going to be great. I'm just saying that it's going to be a logjam at the top for Rookie of the Year, and I think it'll be clearly Bijan and then everybody else, and then maybe a tier with like CJ and Bryce Young, and Jahmyr Gibbs will be kind of somewhere in there.
Yeah, I don't know if CJ can come out and win Offensive Rookie of the Year because of the situation he's in. I think Bryce, out of the quarterbacks, has the best situation. I think Bryce can contend for it, but to me, the only competitor to Jahmyr Gibbs is Bijan Robinson, and I do think it's closer than people think, but we shall see. At plus 700 compared to plus 300 for Bijan, those are great odds just to throw some money on Jahmyr to potentially win Offensive Rookie of the Year. We'll go to break when we get back. I want to bring up these comments that Jerry Jacobs had on the Chiefs matchup and Jared Goff, and you guys are going to want to hear it because I thought it was pretty interesting, to say the least. We'll go to break, but before we do, I got to tell you about our friends over at Dispo because, again, guys, experience the true meaning of exceptional cannabis products with Dispo Dispensary. Indulge in the finest selection of cannabis curated with care. With over 10 locations, Dispo is never too far away. Visit disposhops.com today and unlock a world of endless possibilities in the realm of cannabis. That is DISPO shops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog.
Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
For Detroit, by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here at woodwardsports.com. Thanks so much for starting your morning with us. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're listening to this episode, wherever you listen to your podcast, download and leave a 5-star review. And then tune back in at 11 a.m. for Big D Energy, 2 p.m. for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, and 5 p.m. for the Woodward Heavyweights. And follow us on all social media at Woodward Sports.
So I couldn't help myself but find this article on NFL.com, and it was Jared Jacobs talking about the matchup with the Chiefs, Jared Goff, where he ranks in the NFC, and we'll start with the Chiefs matchup because we haven't really brought it back up. I've talked about it briefly in my confidence level facing the Chiefs on the road in Game 1. But here's what Jerry Jacobs had to say about that matchup. He says, quote, "It's time to show what Detroit is made of," he said on SiriusXM's NFL Rewind per SportsIllustrated.com. He said, "When we knew we were playing them in the season opener, Dan Campbell came in and said, they want us to lose, so what are we going to do? We almost went to the playoffs and they just won the Super Bowl. So they're trying to see if we're really like that. We're ready. I know we're ready. Every time I hear we're playing the season opener against a Super Bowl team, we're ready to go out there and play ball and shock the world." And again, you look at the matchup, and JB, if you could for me, while we're talking, get the odds for the Lions against the Chiefs and what the odds are in FanDuel or whatever sports book it is. But I want to start with this. It's clear as day the Lions have all the confidence in the world, and as they should. But realistically, Sam, and you found yourself defending Mahomes. I defend Mahomes too. But for you, because I haven't really gotten a chance to talk to you about it, confidence in the Lions going to Kansas City, going to Arrowhead, and taking down the Chiefs in Week 1. What's your confidence level at this point?
Ooh, this one is not going to ingratiate me to any fans, particularly Jack Harrington, who always calls me a closeted Chiefs fan, for which I am not. My confidence level is very, very low. And you know what else? That is okay. If the Lions go in Week 1 and lose at Arrowhead, to Kansas City, there shouldn't be any cause for concern. The Lions can lose that game and still accomplish everything that they want throughout the season, including winning the Super Bowl. The problem is the Kansas City Chiefs right now are the Monstars. That is just the reality of the situation. Ever since Patrick Mahomes became the starting quarterback, they have won 2 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes has 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 5 divisions, 3 Super Bowl appearances, and in one of the craziest stats of all when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs, they have been so dominant these last 5 years, and they have won so many home games that the only road playoff games that Patrick Mahomes has played in his entire career as a starter are the Super Bowls. They pretty much get home field advantage every single year throughout the playoffs. It is absolutely absurd how dominant the Kansas City Chiefs are. I'm not saying that they have necessarily a better roster top to bottom, but they have the best quarterback, I think, ever. Not greatest, but best. He's someone whose accomplishments could someday usurp Tom Brady's, I think. They have the best tight end of all time. They have the best offensive mind of all time, in my opinion. They have the best, I would say the best or second best center in the game in Creed Humphrey, and they have, to me right now, the best D tackle in the game in Chris Jones. The Kansas City Chiefs are not slowing down anytime soon. And Arrowhead right now, in this situation right now, is the greatest home field advantage I have ever seen in the history of the NFL, the Patrick Mahomes era Arrowhead. Because you know who goes into Arrowhead and loses? Everybody goes into Arrowhead and loses. Buffalo does it. Cincinnati does it. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles, they didn't even play in Arrowhead. They lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. The San Francisco 49ers, who were a damn good team last year, who was in the NFC Championship game, they got smacked by the Kansas City Chiefs at home. It is a rite of passage for NFL teams to lose to the Chiefs. That's just the way that it is. Both things can be true. The Lions will lose to the Chiefs, I think, in a close game in Week 1 at Arrowhead, and they will still win the division. They'll still win a playoff game. They could still get to the Super Bowl. They're just not going to beat the Chiefs Week 1 at Arrowhead. No way, no how. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I am.
Well, and also Andy Reid's record in season openers is pretty damn
absurd.
Good. And the problem is, and this is what I don't think people are talking about enough, at least nationally, Andy Reid having the entire offseason to game plan for Week 1 is scary. But I don't think people, and he hasn't earned the right for this respect yet, although I think he deserves it. We haven't seen Ben game plan an entire offseason for Week 1 either. So, like, that, at least this is the second year he's doing it. So I think there's a part of it, well, yeah, Andy Reid is going to come out, and there's going to be things that the Chiefs are going to be ready for. But I think still the Lions are in the same boat. They had a top 5 offense last year. The defense, we believe, is going to be much, much better. The Chiefs had a lot of youth in their secondary last season, and they still were able to get things done. And Patrick Mahomes and who he is as a quarterback is a big reason for that. But let's be real here. It's Week 1. And if it was Week 10, if it was Week 12, I think I'd be less confident. But Week 1, I do believe there is part of that Super Bowl hangover that could potentially happen. But Mahomes is probably the quarterback you would bet that wouldn't happen. But you never know. The Lions are going to be ready to go. And I think the offseason discussion for what the Lions are, them having to prove, who they are. And is it real? Is it 8-2 stretch to end last season real? I think they're going to bundle all that up and take it all out on the Chiefs in Week 1. Now, It is in Arrowhead, and Dan Campbell's record on the road, although it was better last season, the second half of the season, historically in Detroit, it hasn't been the greatest. But also, he hasn't had the roster he's had currently. This is the most talented roster he's had. So, although there is, some hesitancy there with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, you're at Arrowhead, they're gonna be doing the Super Bowl celebration. It's gonna be emotional. I do think the Lions, because they're looked at as underdogs as it is, and they kind of went through this last season. Although it was the last game of the season, but going to Arrowhead, and the Chiefs are not the Packers, but they had a lot to prove last season. They added more talent in the offseason. What are the odds, JB? Before I give my answer.
Well, don't come at me, but I kind of knew these odds already a little bit before you're asking me. But I've got the spread, I got the money line, I got the total. Which one would you like?
Give me the money line.
Money line as of right now, Lions are plus 200. Depending on what site you go to, you could probably get it as high as plus 300. Of course, the Chiefs are favorite in all of these categories. Spread, Lions are plus 7, while Chiefs are minus 7.
About a touchdown favorite.
Yeah.
At home. Makes sense. But for those odds, though, what you said, plus 2...
Plus 250.
250. I don't think it's that much. I think that's a little too much, to be honest with you. I can see. I know the Chiefs are obviously going to be favored. They're going to be a touchdown favorite, but plus 250 for the Lions. I think that's a little. I don't think the Lions, at least from the betting perspective, where people are putting their money, no one's respecting the Lions. And I don't think that's true. I think the Lions have a better shot of winning this game than people think. I do.
Well, and like I keep saying for the millionth time, and Steve-O Baby, I believe, backed me in the chat and said that let me see what he said. Not with that defense. Kansas City is going to shred you guys, make you look like Swiss cheese. You're not beating Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a vintage Patrick Mahomes matchup. That D-line and that secondary, that revamped secondary is in for a test. But what you guys don't understand, and I know as somebody who is known as a Patrick Mahomes slappy, when the Kansas City Chiefs, when they come out for introductions, you know what music is going to be playing? Hit 'em high, hit 'em high, hit 'em high, hit 'em low, hit 'em low, hit 'em low, hit 'em high, hit 'em high, hit 'em high. They're the Monstars, and I get it. Michael Jordan led his group of Looney Tunes to beat the Monstars, but that's what Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are right now. They are the juggernaut of the NFL, and that is just a fact. They are the greatest. I wouldn't say dynasty yet, but they are the modern day New England Patriots. That is what you are going to hear. That is what you're going into Arrowhead with the Monstars coming out at you with the best quarterback who has ever played NFL football. And I will say that he has built a top 5 resume of all time in just 5 seasons as a starter. Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, the likes of that. The Lions are screwed for this one, and that's okay. Everybody loses at Arrowhead. It's your rite of passage. It's like the rookie symposium. It's like your rookie hazing. Losing to the Kansas City Chiefs right now, if you're an up-and-coming team, that is your rite of passage. You take your lumps, you move on, you have a great season. You maybe win the Super Bowl, but you're not beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead week 1. I'm sorry. I'm not being a hater. I just respect the hell out of the Chiefs.
But Flannel, do you think there's a higher chance of them winning week 1 than there is later in the season?
That's an interesting...
If they were to play at Arrowhead later in the season.
You know, there's an interesting angle to that. I actually think that if they were to get them at any point in the season, maybe week 1, they can catch the Kansas City Chiefs.
Especially now, I'm not saying Juju. Trust me, I'm very different on Juju than I think other people are. But regardless, with Juju's departure, he was their most productive wide receiver. I know Travis Kelce pretty much is a wide receiver, but he's gone.
Sure.
So they're going to have to find out who the hell's catching the ball besides Travis Kelce.
And you know what?
And I think
fair.
week 1 is the best game to play on because week 10, they'd probably figure it out, how the lineup stacks up. Week 1, it's Travis Kelce, and then we got to figure it out. Is Sky Moore going to take the next step? Who the hell is it going to be? I think that favors the Lions.
I mean, Kadarius Toney, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. No, but
those guys are...
My point is that the Kansas City wide receiver room is mid. I would say as of right now, we don't know what Sky Moore is. We haven't seen Kadarius Toney for a healthy season. It's less than mid. Mm-hmm. But you know who isn't less than mid? You know who is exemplary? You know who is the best tight end of all time, who is still putting up numbers? Travis freaking Kelce. Do you know who can out-scheme anyone when it comes to offense in the history of the NFL? And yes, I said even including Bill Walsh, Andy freaking Reid. And I get it. I know that I'm hyping up the Chiefs a lot.
Well,
go ahead.
Has Travis Kelce ever seen Jack Campbell?
Nobody has ever seen the likes of Jack Campbell.
A good old Iowa boy with that type of strength he comes from. With fishing, the hunting.
With all due respect to Jack Campbell,
he's ready for Kelce.
And the player that I believe he is going to be. If Aaron Glenn has Jack Campbell covering Travis Kelce one-on-one, he should be fired on the spot, and Travis Kelce is going to have 15 catches for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's
putting that man in a jail cell. That's what he's going to do with Travis Kelce.
Well, then he's coming right into the NFL and becoming Brian Urlacher on day 1.
What different people. What completely opposite people, Travis Kelce and Jack Campbell.
That's
could
true.
not be on more opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, no, complete opposite. And again, I'm just trolling here. Jack Campbell, I don't think we'll be guarding Travis Kelce week 1. You never know. I'd put C.J. Gardner-Johnson on him or something.
I could see that.
Regardless. But my point is, although you try and stop Travis, you're not going to stop Travis.
No.
But my question is, who else? Kadarius Toney? Okay. I haven't seen him at least take over a game for multiple games. I've seen him pop off and have these performances, but I'm not going to trust Kadarius Toney.
Sure.
MVS, nice, can stretch the field, but he's not a possession guy that the Chiefs are going to rely on through an entire drive. Who knows? Maybe I'm completely wrong. But I'm telling you right now, JB, those odds are going to get better, at least depending how you look at it, worse for the Lions, because plus 250 is disrespectful. And a touchdown favorite I do think is somewhat fair, but I can see those odds kind of coming down a little bit. I do. I don't think it's that. 2 plus 250, 2.5 to 1. Come on.
It's the Chiefs at Arrowhead, though. The Monstars are opening their season.
They're not facing Indianapolis. They're not facing Houston. Like, they're facing the Detroit Lions.
I understand
Which that sounds weird, me saying that, by the way.
And
they're facing the Detroit Lions. But it's true.
And we should all be very, very happy that the Lions get the privilege, and this is a privilege, to open the season on Thursday night at Arrowhead and lose. That's what's going to happen. And I hope that I'm wrong.
With that attitude, yeah.
You know what? I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that the next...
Where's the faith?
You know what? If the Lions win week 1,
What if your guy, Aiden Hutchinson, the all-pro caliber player, what if he just eats week 1?
Well, then, and you know what? And despite
That's your boy.
nobody's going to believe this, I will be the happiest man on the planet. I hope that Aiden Hutchinson sacks Patrick Mahomes twice. I hope Patrick Mahomes has the worst game of his entire career against the Lions and then balls out and plays MVP level the rest of the season. I don't want the Lions to lose. I just think that everybody out here who is basically taking the Chiefs lightly, I think, is a little bit crazy. And I also think this idea that losing to Kansas City means that they're scared, not stoked, is also like a fallacy, because as I said before, the Lions, I believe they will lose at Kansas City, but I also believe that they will have an 11-win season, win the division, win a playoff game, and then you ride from there. It's going to be okay. It's the rite of passage, losing to the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Every team does it. Every team.
Well, speaking of every team, what about every guy should go get his haircut at Lady Jane's?
Absolutely.
Can you tell us about our friends over at Lady Jane's?
Well, including myself. And obviously, I love propping up Lady Jane's, because every single time I go to Lady Jane's, they do such a great job with my hair. They always have me looking this good every single day, even when I am a target of Lions fans who think I like the Chiefs more than the Lions. Not true, by the way. But I go to any stylist. They always do a great job on my hair. And like I always say, I have to look good being on this show. Sitting next to a certified stud like Jeff Iafrate, and another certified stud like Jeremy Bryant, Alex Westfall, of course, and of course the lovely Gabrielle D. Phillips. And you can walk into any Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, one for you and one for your wife, girlfriend, or best bud. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Wicked.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward.
All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports.
Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Play, practice, and party at 5 Iron Golf coming this July to Detroit, located inside of the Cambria Hotel. Downtown's newest sports bar has 13 TrackMan simulators, certified instructors, and a full bar and restaurant. Mention promo code Woodward and check out for 50% off your first visit, and visit 5irongolf.com to tee up good times. That is 5irongolf.com.
Wow.
I don't know why I did that.
That was actually pretty
beautiful.
good.
Oh, thank you.
Sam Flannel, he's got the vocal cords, man.
Welcome
Welcome
back.
back.
An angel.
It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward
Fergie and
Sports
Jesus.
Network. Yeah, Sam Flannel's got some hidden talents. We'll find out a lot more as the time goes on. Apparently, he can sing. Apparently, you just went on like a 5-second, 10-second spiel there. I don't know what reference that was, what you just did earlier. But regardless, Sam's been doing some interesting things. That's why I love him.
Jeff, really?
Wait. You had some homework yesterday.
No.
Did you fail?
So,
Yeah, here we go. The truth comes out.
I got to make a formal statement here. So, JB so kindly tried helping me out.
I tried.
He tried. He sent me a text. He said, hey, man, Hangover's on live TV right now. I wasn't home. So I didn't tune into it. And when I did get home, I
You
prepped
still
for the show
didn't
and I
tune in.
didn't tune into it. So I'm sorry. You know what, though? It's much funnier at this point if I just continue to not watch it so we can just keep making fun of me. But I promise I will watch it. I promise. I'm not going to say when, but I'm going to watch it eventually. I was busy yesterday. I could not sit down and watch The Hangover. I'm sorry. Not yesterday, but I will soon.
You know, I will.
I failed. Give me an F.
I
That's
will
fair.
slightly defend the lead host of the show, Jeff Iafrate, who does most of the prepping, and that is hard work. I will give you that. But at some point, Jeff, off the air and even on the air, I want you to understand my Hangover references. Then we can become better in sync. So you got to watch it. I mean, JB, you agree with me 100%. You gave him the olive branch.
He did.
You know what?
He did.
We should talk about what Lucas Klotz responded to that, which I thought was fucking hilarious. Excuse my French. He said, "Jeff, you're probably too busy watching Killian Hayes Summer League." If anybody, it'd be our very own Jeff Iafrate. That's to let you in on our group chat.
That is messed up too. Lucas said I'd rather watch Killian Hayes' Summer League. Guys, not far off there. But regardless, that's not the point. The point is, JB, as a good friend as JB is, he tried throwing me a life preserver. I was out there, I was drowning. He tried throwing me, and I just said nope, and I just stood there. I just sat there and drowned.
Jess, I can even bring in the DVD for you, so you can physically have it to watch at home.
Do you have the DVD?
Yeah.
Bring it in tomorrow. It'll be funny.
I got you.
All right, let's
So
do
I
that.
think that you also didn't understand another reference that Flannel made
Oh, yeah.
just now, which
What-
means you're missing out on another movie.
What reference did you make?
Like Fergie and Jesus.
Golly.
Oh,
The hell is
come
Fergie and
on,
Jesus?
man.
Step Brothers.
Okay, I've watched Step Brothers. I have multiple
That's
times.
like a very common reference. that
Fergie
you
and
can get.
Jesus. What part of the movie was that?
When Will Ferrell was singing
What
"Let's
he's
Give Him
singing.
Something to Talk About" and John C. Reilly was just like, you have a voice of an angel. It's like a combination of Fergie and Jesus.
Yes. Okay, I do remember
Yes.
that. Okay, I have seen Step Brothers. Do not come at me. I love Step
You're
Brothers.
scaring me for a second.
That would have been bad if I did not see Step Brothers. I will admit that. That is bad. Hangover. I'm sorry. I have not watched that. Kill me, torture me. But Step Brothers, one of my all-time favorite movies. So no excuses there. But again, guys, I want to get to this part where Jerry Jacobs mentioned Jared Goff, and because we spent, as I predicted, the entire last segment on the Chiefs, because I know how Sam would feel about that, especially about Week 1. Now, what about what he said about Jared? He said, and I don't know if Jerry Jacobs, I think he means well. I don't think because again, he said, and I quote, Jared Goff is the best quarterback. He's really top 5 in the NFC, if you want to be honest, if you pull the stat stuff and all that. He says, I'm going to be honest, I've played against a lot of quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers would be in my top 5. You'd love that. But Jared Goff's up there. Everybody sleeps on my dog, and I love how he takes it in. He doesn't get cocky or nothing like that. He just soaks it in and plays ball to his game. That type of reaction, he's a great quarterback, and I can't wait for him to, go out and prove everybody wrong. So I guess the first question I have, and he says he's top 5 in the NFC, which I think is too low. I think he's higher than top 5. I mean, you go through NFC quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts.
Well, that's the thing, and this is
it's Jared Goff to me. He's 2.
And this is no disrespect to Jerry Jacobs, who I think is going to play a big role in the secondary this season, but way to go out on a limb. Jared Goff is a top 5 quarterback in the NFC. Last season, he was clearly the second best quarterback in the NFC behind only Jalen Hurts. I mean, you can look at guys like Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott, what they've done in previous years, but Jared Goff was clearly better than them last season. I mean, he had the same amount of touchdown passes as Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins had twice as many interceptions. Dak Prescott was a turnover machine last year. Last season, it was painfully obvious that Jared Goff was the second best cornerback in the NFC. His only competition really was Geno Smith, and I don't really trust Geno Smith moving forward. So obviously he's top 5 in the NFC. Like you said, Jerry Jacobs was heaping all this praise on him and then only saying top 5 in the NFC. That's not even that hard to do at this stage. But what is hard to do is be the only is where in the NFC, the only quarterback definitively better than you is Jalen Hurts. Now, that's an accomplishment. And Jared Goff, right now, that's where he's at.
Well, he was top 5, top 6 last year in the NFL, not just NFC. He's in the top 5, top 6 in the NFL. So for Jared, name a quarterback who had a better year last year in the NFC besides Hurts.
You can't. No, it doesn't
So
exist.
based on that information, going into 2023, he is, in my opinion, the second best quarterback in the NFC. He mentioned Aaron Rodgers, and I don't know if he meant he says he's top 5. I think he meant in the league because he's not in the NFC anymore. But because when he was in the NFC, there's no doubt he's top 5.
Sure.
But you look at NFC quarterbacks, Dak Prescott, he's had some good years, but I would still take Jared. You look at Kirk Cousins, similar to Jared, but both put up great numbers, but I'll take Jared, especially for his postseason success. Kyler Murray, no. Like now Derek Carr, I would still take Jared Goff because of the resume he has and what he's proven in the NFL. So my point is, for Jerry Jacobs to say this, top 5, Jerry, I agree, but he ain't top 5, he's top 2.
Top 2.
And I'm not going to say top 2, not 2, because he is 2. He's not 1. Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback. But that also speaks to the competition the Lions have in their own conference. Like we had the conversation earlier about Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, as great as he is, he's probably what, 5 in the AFC? 4?
Yeah, 4 or 5. I mean, what you got? Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence. He's as low as 5 and probably as high as 4 right now.
But if you put Trevor in the NFC, he's 1 to me. Or 2 behind
1 or
Hurts.
2.
But like, look at that. That's the difference in the conference that the Lions are dealing with here. So it's more wide open than it's ever been, and it's especially at the quarterback position. I put the poll in the chat. Where does Jared Goff rank in the NFC? 36% leads, number 3. And for those people, by the way, if you think he's 3rd, who's in front of him? That's the question I have, because if you're going to say Jared's 3, 4, whatever, tell me who's in front of him. Answer 14 says, what's this love for Jared Goff all about? And again, it's people say, and it's funny because I'm either one day a hater of Jared Goff or I love Jared Goff. There's never, I give Jared Goff credit when he deserves it, but I also am very realistic about who Jared is as a quarterback and what I expect and what I want the Lions to do moving forward at the quarterback position. You can't deny, say what you want about Goff, say what you want. If you don't want to pay him, that's fine, but you can't deny Jared Goff who he is right now. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC. Like,
Yes.
there's no denying that. Say what you want about Goff. That's the facts.
Yeah, and he had the best season of his life last year.
He did.
I know he had a couple of good ones in Los Angeles, but I think he was better at playing quarterback, especially given the situation he was in, than any season that he's ever had. He's a much better quarterback than he was in Los Angeles. But at the same time, it's funny. You're either a Goff lover, you're too high on him, or you're a Goff hater. If you say, I don't know if I want to pay him $45 or $50 million.
That's fair.
That is very fair. But what's also fair is that
$1 million.
Thank you. He had the best season of his life last year. Was the second best quarterback in the NFC last year. But like we said earlier, being the second best quarterback in the NFC, that's all well and good. But it's not as good of as great of an accomplishment as you might think. Because in the AFC, Jared Goff would slot somewhere at 6 or 7. And that's just facts. And that's okay, by the way.
Yeah, that's not trying to knock Jared Goff. That's just the facts. Like the NFC, even Jalen Hurts. I like Jalen a lot. He was in the MVP conversation last year. But we've only seen 1 year of Jalen Hurts. Like, we've seen Jared, what he did last season. It's great, but I'm not surprised. He's had some great years in LA along with that. So for Jalen Hurts, there's a lot more for him to prove, although he had a better season last year with what he did with his legs, being in the MVP conversation, the Eagles winning the NFC, all of that stuff. Jalen Hurts right now is ranked above him. But let's not forget, I mean, Jalen Hurts has only had a season like this once. So there's still more to prove for Jared as well. But I do think Jared, even next season, will still be top 2, top 3. Even if Dak has comparable numbers, I would still take Jared over Dak. I mean, would you disagree with that?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I think Dak the pendulum has swung a little bit too far, where he's maybe a little bit too disrespected, because a couple of seasons ago, he put up 37 touchdowns and 10 picks. And even though last year he pretty much crapped the bed at San Francisco, he did have the best playoff game of his life against Tampa Bay,
right,
and knocking Tom Brady out of the playoffs. Thank you, Dak Prescott, forever, by the way, for that. But I think Jared Goff right now is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott, but I think Dak Prescott could also bounce back and have a much better year this year than he did last year.
Well, to address comments like this, Steve Wild says, so solely based on prior year stats, is that what determines ranking? Well, that's part of it, but take away stats. Body of work, who you taking? Goff, Dak, or Kyler Murray?
Body of work, I'm probably taking Dak.
Really?
Yes.
To start your team with?
Off of just body of work, yes.
I'll take Jared Goff.
Really?
For postseason success and numbers-wise. Dak's had good years, but what does that entail with? What comes after that? Nothing.
Jeff, with all due respect,
Nothing.
when talking about Jared Goff, what postseason success?
He's won. Look at LA. How many playoff games has he won in LA?
I believe he won 3 or 4 or something like that.
How many has Dak won in his career?
I believe he's won 2 or 3.
So he's won about the same, if not more, than Dak in his in his time in LA.
Okay, but as I always say, wins is not necessarily a quarterback stat.
But he's proven when he gets the talent, he's done it. Dak has had talent. What has he done with it?
I mean, he completely shit all over himself at San Francisco. He did. I will give him that.
So that's my point. Even take away stats, body of work in starting I would take Jared. You could have Dak Prescott, that's fine. But Jared at least has proven you build a team around him, he gets you to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I mean,
Dak has never proven that.
In that playoff run in 3 games, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, including an absolute no-show in the Super Bowl against...
Statistically, he's not Mahomes, but my point is he quarterbacked a team that got to a Super Bowl.
So did Trent Dilfer, so did Brad Johnson, so did Rex Grossman.
But Dak Prescott has not.
And so Dak Prescott is lower than those 3 on the...
But I'm just saying, it's not just about... If you want to take a quarterback who puts up better stats in historically, even last year, Dak didn't, but if you want to have Dak, fair. But look at it, and Alex Lee says here in the Woodward Sports Chat, Dak is 2-4 in the playoffs.
Okay.
Like...
He's also had a phenomenal playoff game last year, and he led his team to 31 points against the Packers in that one home playoff game in 2016, and they lost because Aaron Rodgers put up 34. It's more complicated than that, and I get it. I probably look silly dying on the hill for Dak Prescott. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying that this idea that Dak Prescott is this bum all of a sudden, like a lot of people even at this network say, I think that is a little bit short-sighted. He's still a good quarterback. Was Jared Goff much better last year? Absolutely. But this upcoming season, it wouldn't floor me. It wouldn't floor me at all if Dak Prescott and Jared Goff were comparable. Mm-hmm. Is that fair, or am I off base?
And I'll say this. I think they're in the same tier. Like, if you want to say I'll take Dak, okay, I'm going to take Jared Goff. I don't think it's this significant difference, though. I'm not going to sit here and say Goff is levels above Dak. I'm not going to say that. But what separates the two, and I make the same argument for Kirk Cousins, Kirk statistically is very similar to Goff. But I'm taking Goff because he's proven, like Kirk, and I get Goff has never put up Mahomes-level stats, but Kirk, we've seen time and time again, like Dak, completely melt down in big moments. Jared Goff it is what he is. When he has the right coaching staff, the right team, a good defense, like a lot of quarterbacks need, he's proven he can get you to a Super Bowl. You see the point there. Kirk melts. Dak melts. Like, he had a good game last year, but you can't tell me Dak in the postseason has been this glamorous quarterback.
No, I can't, but I could also tell you that their postseason numbers, Dak has actually put up better postseason numbers than Jared Goff. That's also factual. And Jared Goff also has had 3 very, very mid seasons from 2019 to 2021. Let's not act like, and
we'll just throw Dak's what he did last year in his mid seasons.
He was bad last year.
He led the league in interceptions, I'm pretty sure.
He was not good last year.
So regardless, Jared Goff to me, number 2 in the NFC. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I would agree.
At this point in time,
yes.
We'll see how that shapes up to end the year. But before we're going to go to break, I want to get back and have the conversation about Cade. I want you guys to see where he ranks for most improved player, and then we'll get to what's trending with Gabby. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at SMA, because guys, the sports marketing agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com for more information.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win.
Woodward Sports.
Detroit's winning sports network.
Back to the Morning Woodward Show here at woodwardsports.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am Gabrielle D. Phillips. We have Jeff Iafrate and Flannel Sam also on the desk this morning. Thanks for sticking with us after your 4th of July. We hope you had a fantastic, fun day celebrating our country. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening via podcast, download this episode and leave a 5-star review, and then go and follow us on all social media at Woodward Sports.
So I thought this was super interesting, too. NBA University tweeted this out, and they put the most improved betting favorites on FanDuel right now for the NBA next season. And coming in at number 1, Mikal Bridges, who I think is fair, considering what he showed when he got to Brooklyn. But look who comes in at number 2. Cade Cunningham at plus 1,200. Tyrese Maxey, with more likely the departure of James Harden, he's at plus 1,600. Jordan Poole in Washington now, pretty much his own team, plus 1,600. Evan Mobley, plus 1,700. Scotty Barnes. It's funny, by the way. I love this. Players that were ranked above him during Rookie of the Year are not above him on most improved players.
Okay,
so,
but Cade Cunningham didn't play last season.
I love how that works. But yeah, well, regardless. Josh Giddey, plus 1,900. Sengun, plus 1,900. Anthony Simons, plus 2,100. And then Walker Kessler, plus 2,600. Sam, I'll start with you. You look at the odds. Anybody that should be higher, lower, and then Cade's odds. And do you think he's a fair bet at plus 1,200?
I think that Cade Cunningham should be number 1 on this list, honestly, and because it's most improved player. And I'm going to start with Cade Cunningham, and then if we have time, I'll work backwards on some of the other players on this list. So Cade Cunningham, he only played 12 games last year. He was, I guess, okay when he played. He averaged about 27 and 7, but obviously he was a little bit hampered, and I think people have forgotten how good Cade Cunningham can be moving forward. I expect this season, and the reason I'm picking these numbers is because he's shown it before. In the month of March, his rookie season, Cade Cunningham averaged 23, 6, and 7 on 48% shooting, 83% free throws, and only 32% from 3. He's got to bump that up. I think those are the type of numbers he's going to average for a full season this year, and he's going to be an all-star, and he's going to up that three-point percentage because he was a 40% three-point shooter in college. He's shown that he can do it. It hasn't translated to the NBA just yet, and he's also going to come into this team this year, presumably play a full season, and help out this team defensively tremendously, which they were very, very bad last year. And a lot of that was because I think one of the reasons I think they were so bad last year defensively is because Cade Cunningham wasn't playing, and when he's on the court at any given time, he's one of the Detroit Pistons' more versatile defenders as well. And with all of that, with all of the all-star level numbers I predict Cade Cunningham will put up, I also think that'll translate, among other things, with the Detroit Pistons doubling their win total to 34. And I think when you look at what Cade Cunningham has done so far, which was very little last season, I think that NBA voters are going to see vast improvement, and I think the Detroit Pistons overall are going to be a vastly improved team, and that matters when calculating for awards like this. And so for that reason, and for other reasons like some of these people on this list I don't understand, Cade Cunningham, I predict, will win most improved player. I'm planting my flag right now.
Yeah, I love it, especially at the odds he currently has right now, plus 1,200. I mean, you look at the recent and most improved player winners, the award winners. You have Lauri Markkanen last year, who put up 25, 8, and 8 rebounds, almost 9 rebounds. But he had a breakout season. He won the award. Yep. The year prior, Ja Morant, he averaged 27, 6, and 7, essentially. Julius Randle won it in 2021. He averaged 24, 10, and 6. And then you have Brandon Ingram, who won it in 2020. He averaged 23, 6, and 4. You see like a similar stat line here, around 24, 25 points, especially the rebounds, the assists. I think Cade can put up these numbers. I think next season he's good for 23, 24, 7, and 7. He put up 26 and 6 on one leg. So given he's healthy, given he has an entire offseason now to improve his shooting, which we know what he can do. He did it at collegiately.
Yes.
He did it at Oklahoma State. I think there's another level Cade can take his game. Now, he's not the most flashy player. He's not. So which I hate using the word flashy. I just hate it because he's a winning basketball player. When he's on the court, he affects winning. Now, people would say, well, Jeff, in his rookie year, they didn't win any games, and he was out last season, they didn't win any games. You're going to see the impact of Cade. When you have a player like Cade who's as cerebral as he is, can affect the game in so many ways, I think he's a super underrated defender. His playmaking, his size, what he does immediately to your team when he comes back. there's an impact. And I do think if he puts up a similar stat line than what these guys put up last season, he improves his shooting splits, which I think he can do. There's a case for Cade to win most improved player. I think Mikal Bridges should be one because Mikal last season, when he got to Brooklyn, he was an all-star player. But I do think Cade, and again, I don't know a most improved player, they factor in wins. Hopefully they don't. Apparently every award you need wins. If you're just talking strictly individual, I think Cade overall as his entire stat line, because Mikal's a great shooter. He's going to have the shooting splits. He's going to have the defensive stats. But Cade's a better playmaker, and he's about the same rebounder. So I think the stat line, looking at a stat line, Cade should be number one on this list because I think he'll put up the best numbers. But Mikal's sneaky because in Brooklyn, it's going to be him. All about him. But same with Cade. So I think Cade is a fair case, and I would ride with him to win most improved player this year.
Well, but here's the thing. I don't know if the voters are going to factor in the fact that Mikal Bridges, he played 27 games with the Nets last year. And in those 27 games, he averaged 26 a game on 48, 38, and 89 shooting splits. He was unbelievable. But he put up those numbers this past year. So how much is he going to improve from that? I understand that he upped his numbers significantly from his Phoenix days, but if he had played the whole season in Phoenix and then came to Brooklyn this next year and put up those kind of numbers, I think Mikal Bridges would win it going away. But he actually showed last season a very, very superstar, borderline superstar level stretch of play. And then I see Tyrese Maxey is on this list. But that's another thing. Tyrese Maxey last season averaged 20 a game on 48, 43, and 85 shooting splits. I think Tyrese Maxey kind of is what he is. One of those guys that on a championship team is probably your third best player, maybe second, depending on what you have around him. And then Jordan Poole. That's one on this list that I absolutely don't understand. Because first of all, people, I think, act like Jordan Poole was a complete bum all of last year. He wasn't. He averaged 20 a game, but very, very, very inefficiently. And I know he's presumably going to get more usage on Washington, but I don't think he's ever going to be that guy who really ups his shooting splits high enough. I think he's just a volume shot-jacking scorer, and he was that in Golden State this past year. So I don't think Jordan Poole has a chance. And then Evan Mobley, I mean, he averaged 16 and 9 last year. He's a phenomenal defender. But in order for Evan Mobley to get it, be considered, I think he has to up his numbers to 20 and 10 at least, still play that same defense.
And the difference is, too, and the reason why I would ride Mikal or Cade is because they're the number one guy on their team.
Sure.
Evan Mobley isn't. Like these guys, Tyrese Maxey isn't. They're going to have to win most improved player playing behind all-star players. Cade is, if someone makes the all-star team, it's Cade.
100%.
He's the guy. So I think in his situation, he has that benefit, but also with Mikal, he also has that benefit. It's good. Everything goes through Mikal. Everything's going to go through Cade. I think stat line, looking at the stat line, Cade will have a more impressive complete stat line. Mikal might average more points, but totality, the impact, I think it's going to be Cade. And I think at plus 1,200, they're great odds. We'll go to break. When we get back, we'll get into what's trending with Gabby. But before we do that, I got to tell you about the best defense in the entire sports world. In the world. It's Guardian Alarm. Because they got customized solutions from real experts, they got 24/7 professional monitoring, and they have technology backed by people. All you got to do is call our friends at 1-800-STAY-OUT for the best protection. Call them, I'll say it again, at 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here at woodwardsports.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. Follow us on all social media at Woodward Sports. And tune back in at 11 a.m. for Big D Energy, 2 p.m. for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, and 5 p.m. for the Woodward Heavyweights. But now it's time to get into what's trending. I'm going to do another little rapid round here. Lots to catch up on. First thing, Dan Campbell attended the Tigers game, saw that loss, and Not crazy news, but, nice to see another coach supporting another Detroit team, going out, showing out over the holiday, and supporting the Tigers, maybe, giving his 2 cents here and there.
How does that man blend in? He stands out like a sore thumb, dude.
Oh, yeah.
He's 6'5", he's jacked, and he could sit there in his little glasses and like, Dad, we see you. We see you. But give him credit. He sits with the people. He's out there just with his family. Yeah. I'm sure he gets bugged because he's Dan Campbell and everybody wants to talk to him.
But I think he kind of likes it. I think he likes being amongst the fans
He
and being
does.
at this time where everyone is excited about the Lions. I think otherwise maybe he wouldn't be sitting within the mix.
God, it's just too bad he had to witness that trash of a game. I mean, and like I said, I'm very, very happy what Tarek Skubal did and what Reese Olson did, but their efforts, unfortunately, at least for one game, were completely wasted by an offense that did absolutely nothing and couldn't get a clutch hit to save their lives. Sorry, Dan Campbell. I will apologize, me personally, for you having to watch that god-awful Tigers loss. It's unfortunate.
Answer 14 says, damn, Dan takes up like 3 seats. Dude is huge. Yeah, well,
jacked.
I mean, he's a giant dude. But, hey, shout out to Dan, though. Ego-wise, he's got no ego. He hangs with the people. He's for the people. So I love that. Anytime you see players or coaches going to other games and showing support, I love it. So
I think it's important.
Yeah, it is. Shout out to Dan. He's probably watching the Tigers like, man, we got to win games next year. The city needs a effing win.
Seeing the reactions amongst the fans being like, someone's got to do it. And I think it's our turn.
It's our turn, yeah.
Awesome. So next up, we're going into a little pop culture news. Adele made a comment at her show recently. She has a Las Vegas residency, and said that she is over people hurling phones and shit at everyone on stage. So if you haven't seen, a lot of concert goers have been like throwing items on stage at performers. So I think it started all off with Baby Rexha. Got a phone thrown at her, and like she had to stop the show and had to get stitches above her eye from someone throwing a cell phone. And then Pink just had somebody's ashes thrown at her while she was performing on stage.
What the hell?
Kelsey Ballerini got almost knocked out by a cell phone. It's like absurd. People need to like get back into this form of etiquette. I don't know if it's because of COVID and people weren't going to concerts, or just people have decided to be crazy nowadays, but they shouldn't be afraid that they're going to get hurt when they go up on stage by the people that are supposed to be supporting them.
I just have no like faith in some people in this country. Like, why in the hell would you do that? Ashes? Like, what? That is like, that's sick.
And like had to go off stage and like clear her hands because it was all over her.
Dude.
Yeah, no. I saw the one with BB Rexha. It looked pretty bad, and unfortunately, I mean, back in the day, there was that one BB Rexha song, in the name of love.
Okay, yeah, you could just. We don't need the premium.
That's a banger, man.
Yeah,
I think I played that at my wedding reception. Although she's kind of fallen off as an artist, but you know what? Nobody deserves to get hit in the face. That was horrific. It like brought her to her knees. But it's a phone. It's a weapon. It's what are you doing, people?
If sports commentating doesn't work out for you, Flannel, I really think that you should go into an a cappella group and be the beatboxer.
Oh, thank you.
Sam, you should go perform on stage just so I can throw ashes at you. How about that?
You know what? Why would you do that, Jeff Iafrate? I thought we were friends.
You know what's funny? Booner says Jeff said he wants his ashes spread at a Drake concert.
Hey.
I did not say that. That's messed up. That's sick, dude. If you catch someone throwing ashes or anything, like you should go to jail. Like there shouldn't even be a discussion. Not take you to jail for the night. No, you should go to jail and sit in jail. Like the fact that people are getting cut. Like you can seriously injure somebody throwing a cell phone. Like people don't understand.
Sure.
And why are you throwing your cell phone? You got to go get it, dumbass.
Yeah,
you got to go get your phone eventually.
I think people are throwing the phone so that they take the phone and get video, but then at the same time, like, how are you going to get your phone back? Like they're just gonna hurl it back at you. I don't understand.
No, it's messed up. It's sick, man.
So it actually wasn't like the guy's phone. It was the girl he was with. He took it and basically threw it on stage. I'm assuming they got into a little dispute or argument in the crowd.
Really?
And then he basically picked the phone and threw it on the stage and hit BB in the face.
So I take back what I said. That's actually kind of smart. So, you don't throw your phone. You throw someone next to you's phone. So, it was their fault. I didn't throw anything. I got my phone. I'm leaving. Hey, but it's still messed up. So people who do that stuff, you got to go to jail. Exactly. You got to go to jail.
Do not pass go.
So next up, we have Wimbledon. Wimbledon started, and Venus Williams is out in the first round of the women's singles. And she did not shake the umpire's hand at the end of the match, which traditionally you do, because she thinks that she was wrongfully called for one of the calls by this ref, and poor sportsmanship.
I mean, I'm a little different from, and this isn't just with Venus, but this is a lot of other athletes. I don't give a damn. Like, these guys are, for her and other athletes to play at that level, you need to be one hell of a competitor. And with being a competitor, it comes emotions, comes things like this. And I get, the right thing to do would be to go to the umpire and say, I understand. There's a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings. I see this with basketball, baseball, football, the same thing, and now even on a professional stage with other sports. I don't care. I really don't.
But the reality
people
is,
want to sit at home on their couch and say, that's bad sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Like, if he was consistently doing it, I understand, but showing emotions, being frustrated.
I mean, you're allowed to be frustrated, but I think you still need to be respectful.
But what's Venus Williams at age 43 doing competing in Wimbledon? I mean, she's already the worst Williams sister by far. I mean, that's just facts. Her career overall has been relatively mid.
Now
so.
Sam's going to kill Venus.
I mean,
legend killer.
I remember at one time they were the Williams sisters, and then Serena just overtook her by leaps and bounds. So yeah, Venus Williams. Did you really expect to win this thing? You're 43. That's ancient for a tennis player. That's like a normal person 65.
Yeah.
Legend killer.
Should she have done it? Yes. But I'm not going to sit here and tweet about it and say she's a fraud. Say how ridiculous.
That's a jump.
Washed up.
It's whatever. It is what it is.
Now on to some hockey news. Zadina was pulled off of waivers on Wednesday. So put on waivers on Monday, pulled off of waivers on Wednesday. Yzerman has been trying to trade him since well before the draft. His agent let it be known that he did not want to be playing in Detroit anymore. They wanted to find him a new home. He still has 2 years left on his contract, and they're still not able to make a trade happen. So now he will go into training camp and fight for a spot on the roster this year, and if not, he will go down to Grand Rapids. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but interesting.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, he cleared waivers, which again, he still is owed some money, so it's not completely surprising. But at the same time, it is. Like, I root for Zadina. I figured he'd be
6th overall, man.
I know that's and that was a miss.
I was about to say, you're the same person that roots for Killian, roots for why?
No,
Zadina's done nothing. He's done nothing.
No, and this is the problem.
He's done nothing.
Again, it's not about rooting as in I'm still dying on the hill, because I will not die on the hill of Killian Hayes. But I just find myself finding the good in crap. Like, I do this a lot, not just with Zadina, but Killian Hayes as well. I'm not shocked. He eventually, well, I thought he'd be gone permanently, but he's back. I'm not shocked, and it's a miss. But man, to see where Zadina was when you drafted him, the hype to where he is now, to clearing waivers, like, it's what a story by Zadina. It's sad.
A tragedy. Yeah. Honestly, because in his one full season, he had 24 points. And last season, albeit he was hurt, he had 7 points in 30 games. That's one every 4. I mean, Philip Zadina was a miss. That's all that
and he's not complete. I'm not saying he's trash, but he's a miss. I mean, when you take a player that high, if it's Zadina, you missed.
Yep.
I'm going to wrap up here with a little white party celebrity gossip news. So if you're not aware, Michael Rubin, he's the CEO of Fanatics. He has a white party every single year, and it is completely star-studded. So
like the Illuminati party.
Oh, yeah. Like Tom Brady was there, Joe Burrow was there, Beyonce, Kim Kardashian, Jack Harlow. Like, the list goes on and on and on and on. So very star-studded party, and to be in that room, I just like to hear the conversations that are happening.
It's crazy that Hollywood, it's just like this, and this says Illuminati all over it. You know how many famous people were at this party? Like, the most random collection of, like, the most famous people. I mean, Tom, obviously in the picture you see Tom, James, and Devin. Kevin Hart was there. Jack Harlow was there. Like, just the random, like, you name a celebrity, they're there, and they're wearing all white, like it's some damn cult.
Except for the Red Wings hat.
Except for the Red Wings hat. Which, shout out to Devin Booker, by the way. Nice hat. Very interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, if I was there, I would ask Tom Brady, how in the world did you motivate your defense from the sidelines to hold the greatest show on turf to 17 in your first Super Bowl, and the Los Angeles Rams to hold the Los Angeles Rams to 3 in his 6th one with the Patriots, because obviously that's what he did. He sprays his magic winning dust on that team. It's nothing to do with Belichick and the defense. It's all Tom Brady.
Yeah, speaking of Tom, there was Tom Brady, and there was also Patriots owner there, Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
He was there too. Again, like I said, random people.
Completely random.
Random collection of
Because
people.
you have like your traditional celebrities, but then he's also so well connected within the sports world, so you have a good mix there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Man, if you get invited to these parties, you made it.
Who's going to say no?
Nobody.
Yeah, who's good? I mean, you got to go. I don't know what happens in these parties. I don't know what kind of cult sacrifice goes on in these parties. But regardless, star-studded event. No doubt.
I go to this party. Just
yeah,
saying.
JB, I know you go to these parties. That's where you left the party with all those DVDs.
I would much rather go to this party than the Met Gala. Just saying.
Yeah, much more
Okay,
chill.
you know what? I agree with that. That's fair. I'd rather go to this party than the Met Gala.
I think so too. That's a good point.
Yeah, the Met Gala just, maybe I'm just speaking from someone who will never go to the event because I'll never have the clout to go to the event. It doesn't look like fun. I don't know. The way people dress when we go through the outfits, I would never wear it, so I'm not going.
But that's all I got. Don't want to cut into mailbag time anymore, so that is it for your stories today.
No, it was fun. A lot of interesting stories. Well, again, guys, Gabby's going to be holding it down for Lucas for the rest of the week, so great job today. We're going to get to mailbag when we come back. But before we do, JB, can you tell everybody about our friends over at Big Boy?
Oh, yes, I can, because Strawberry Fest is back at Big Boy. Try the classic breakfast items like the strawberry hotcakes or the mouth-watering red velvet waffles. But if you're not feeling breakfast, try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with their refreshing summer splash salad. But don't leave without trying some dessert. They have their very delicious classic strawberry pie, deep-fried vanilla Oreos, and of course the strawberry hot fudge cake, and so much more at your local Big Boy.
How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. I'm sorry, Gabby, I just took your lighting. But we're back. It's mailbag time. Yeah, let's just get to mailbag, guys. We got 4 minutes left. Let's just get to some questions here, and we'll see what we got. Let's see. Steve-O says, mailbag Jeff, doesn't Sam look like Al Borland from Home Improvement?
I mean, I think I'm a little bit better looking and have a little bit more of a baby face, but when I have a beard, yeah, I could...
I wish I had a photo on deck to show people what Al looks like, but I would say you're not as thick as Al, but
I appreciate
you know
that.
what? Maybe the beard a little bit, but good one, Steve-O. That's funny. Coach Walk says, mailbag, how many hot dogs does Glizzy Gabby take down yesterday at her barbecue in Orchard Lake? More than Glizzy Lizzy.
I had one over the weekend.
I still can't believe Glizzy Lizzy. If you have the name Glizzy Lizzy, I don't know who gave her that name. And what was the number she had? Like 30...
35?
30-something hot dogs? That is insane. That is insane.
Was it 35 or 53?
Regardless, that's too many.
39.
Yeah.
Oh, Terry knows about Glizzy Lizzy, I think.
There we go.
Very familiar with Glizzy Lizzy.
What is your hot dog topping of choice?
Ketchup.
If you put relish on a hot dog, I don't know what to tell you. Does anybody like relish here?
No.
I mean, it's not like bad, but it's not like I'm taking spoonfuls.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's not my favorite.
But you're not going to be like, give me the relish.
No.
Like Max Kellerman says, give me a guadala.
No.
You're not going to say, give me the relish. You're going to say ketchup, mustard, whatever, some onions, a little bit chili if you have it. Like, I'm cool with whatever. I'm cool. But relish, man, and Broder here, our wonderful writer, chiming in here. Relish is fire. Chill, dude. Anybody that has relish and fire in the same sentence, I just can't respect it.
I agree with you, Jeff.
I can't do it. I just can't do it. Hockey Lord says, mailbag Sam, do you agree that Joey Chestnut is the greatest athlete of all time? Just look at his stats. Look at the man's resume.
I mean, obviously, I don't consider hot dog eating the same level as basketball, football, baseball, hockey, and all that. But in his respective sport, he's very, very dominant. Much respect to Joey Chestnut, but I don't think he's a real athlete. I'll just say that.
People are chiming in on the relish. Nine Drink says, hell yeah on relish. Hoofhearted says, I like relish, but can do without. Jason says, gross. RJ Graham says, mayonnaise on mine. Mayonnaise on your hot dog?
Psychopath.
Arrested.
RJ, do you have something you have to get off your shoulders? Like, what's going on, man? Mayonnaise on your hot dog? Damn. Does anybody else eat mayonnaise on a hot dog? Is he alone in that?
No, what's on the back wall right now, RJ Graham? That is what you should call sports marketing agency if you need a little help.
Yeah, I've never heard of mayonnaise on a hot dog. I
actually think Chicago style, like Coney dogs, that they put mayonnaise on them, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
I could be wrong.
Super Juggernaut says mayo and barbecue. Oh my god. Whoa. Barbecue you could talk me into, maybe. But mayo and barbecue on my hot dog?
Oh, I mean, barbecue's fine.
Give me relish over that combination. Jack says burgers over hot dogs. I'm with you, Jack.
I agree.
Burgers always over hot dogs. Super Juggernaut says it's called campfire sauce. Now, in general, mayo and barbecue, I agree with that. But on a hot dog?
No.
On a hamburger, I would eat that. I don't know. Just hot dogs, and maybe I'm just weird, but I'm not a big hot dog guy. I'm always burgers.
Yeah.
Always for burgers. 100%. Mailbag, was Dan Campbell giving him a motivated speech after the Tigers loss? Are you asking if Dan gave the Tigers a motivational speech? Because I don't even think that he can save them.
He totally could. He could save that. I think the motivation. He
He'd
could
be like, what the hell are we
bolster
doing?
them a little bit.
I want Dan to have a sit-down with Spencer Torkelson.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Actually, Javi Baez would be great.
Well, but Spencer Torkelson, I think he's salvageable. I mean, it doesn't look so great so far, but Javier Baez is a lost cause. But you know what? If Dan Campbell can here's the thing: if he might have given Tarek Skubal and Reese Olson one before the game. He just skipped the offense. That's probably what he did yesterday because they pitched their lights out, but the offense didn't give them nothing. I'm still bitter about that game.
No, the offense didn't give them nothing at all. But you know what? You guys gave us more than nothing. You guys took the time out of your morning to tune into the Morning Woodward Show, so we thank you for that. Before you guys leave, drop a like on the stream. We'll try to get to 100 likes before the stream ends. And again, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. If you can't catch the show live, you can go back and re-listen on Spotify, Apple Music, any podcast app you listen to. And again, from Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Gabby, Alex, we thank you guys for taking the time. And we'll see you guys tomorrow because we have a great show planned as always. Until then, we'll see you guys later.
See ya.